Hey everyone, Crystal here from LeetCode Meet. Today we are going to solve together the valid parenthesis problems on LeetCode, and I will share some valuable tips and tricks to help you success in coding interview. Understand how breaking down the problem step by step is essential for interview success, and this problem is a great example. So let's get started. So the first step we have to do is understand the problems and asking clarified questions. So here we have given a string S contains just the character this one and determine if the input string is valid. So the input string is valid if one is open bracket must be closed by the same type of bracket, and then closing bracket must be closed in the correct order. And then every closed bracket have to corresponding open bracket of the same type. Okay, so we have three kind of validation here. So before we dive into the solutions, so let's ask clarified questions for the interviewers and for yourself as well. The first questions you can have in this problem is, does the empty strings count as valid? So you can find the answer for that questions in the constraint here. The S length is more than or equal to 1. That means that there's no empty string here. And then here we're finding is this constraint, but in the interview settings, the interviewers will answer that question for you. And some other questions that I can think about is, will there always be the even numbers in the characters? In here we have even number, length, even length, even length, even length. So we don't have the odd length. So just to make sure. So if you want to know the answer for it when you don't have the interviewers, you can just try the empty like this and then just do some return false here at first and then try to run it. So it's still render, so it means that there can be odd number of characters inside string. Yeah, that is how you check for it by yourself, but in the interview settings, the interviewers will clarify that for you. Next questions I have in mind is, are there any constraints for the string length? So I think we already have that. So the constraint here, the length is pretty much, it is 10 to the 4th. This will be the long string. So we need to find a way to optimize that as well. Having answer for this question help you avoid missing edge case and then ensure you fully understand the problem before jumping to the solutions. And interviewers really like that because in the working condition, you cannot jump into the solutions without knowing what is the prerequisite or the requirements for the feature you will work with. Move on to next step. So next step in here, we will identify some input and output. So input in here, we know that is a string. And then the output is the true or false, so booleans. And then next part, we will move on to step 3, is matching the problems with the data structures and the common patterns that you already know. While dealing with the problems that require matching pair in the specific order, like parentheses like here, we have a same type and then correct order. A stack is often an ideal data structure to use. So why is that? Stack is operate in last in, first out. So let's plan it out to see clearly understand these solutions. So let's get a small example like this. So when we have S is just open closing bracket, we know that we will have a stack. So we will have put a stack here, and I'm using the array bracket to represent it. So first step is we will loop through every character inside string S here. So the first one is the open round bracket. So here this is the opening bracket. So we will put it to the stack here. So when we put it to the stack, it should be, and then we move on to the next character. So in this character, we encounter the closing bracket. So the closing bracket we will not put inside the stack. We will check if the top of the stack is the matching type with the closing bracket that we already have. So in here, this is correct. So we will pop this out. There's empty stack again. Now we move on to the next index, and this is the end of the string S. By the end, if the stack is empty, then we know it's on correct order. Let's try another example. We have string s here is round open bracket. We will put that open bracket here since it's open, so we always adding it to the stack. So we add the open here, and then we move on to the next character. So the next character here we have is the square closing bracket. Since it's closing, we will not add it to the stack anymore. We check the top of the stack. So the top of stack here is the round open bracket. So this is not the same type. So we know that this is not the valid answer. So we can just return false right away. Right. So I think we kind of have the ideas about how stack work in these solutions. Let's move on to the next part, coding the solutions as we already have. So let's comment this out at this moment. So in here, I am writing in Java, but I also include the code in Python and JavaScript down in the descriptions. So please check it out once we have stack. So first we need to create a stack. So in here, we have stack, and we identify the type for it. It's a character type. So stack here, new stack. So at first we have some stack, and there's a minor trick in here, because in this string we only have these 3 types of parentheses. So it would be easier to calculate match it already beforehand. So in here, instead of writing a lot of if-else, I will writing a single hash map. So what this hash map will do is it will map the character with character. So here, and then hash map. And then inside this map, I will put, so I put the closing round bracket as a key, and then the open round bracket as a value. And then do the same thing for the square ones and then the curly ones. So in here, we have the closing square bracket and then the opening square bracket as well. And then next part, the closing curly bracket. So now we have this map, so we can just do a for loop. So this for loop will do is go through x characters inside string s. So in here I put I, and then I should be smaller than the length of s. Okay, I plus here. So we will get the character. So current character. So in this current character, we can get it by at I here. So once we have the current character, like this, we can check whether this current character is an open bracket or closing bracket. Because if it's open, we can put it directly to the stack. So check here if the map we have contain key. So whether it's contain the character. So we know that the key in the map here is only for the closing bracket. So if it's not contained, then we know that it's an open bracket. So in here, we can just push it to the stack. So stack.push, so the current character. In the else statement here, it only have the closing bracket. So first of all, we need to check whether the stack is empty, because if the stack is already empty, we cannot get the top out of the stack anymore. So just the HK there. So stack dot is empty. So here, if it's already empty and we still having the closing bracket, so it means that it is not valid. So in this case, we can just return false. So now we cover the HK here. We can check what is the top characters in the stack. So just get the character from the stack dot pop here. So now we have the top character. We need to check whether this top character is a matching type with the type inside this map. So in here, we will check whether this top is equal to the map.get, the current character that we have. So if the top is matching with the value is the opening bracket here, then it is matching type. But if not, then we can just return false. So I change this one to be negative. Then in here, we can just do return false. Yep, and then this is on covered the closing bracket. And then it will continue looping. And then by the end, we can just return here. In here, we will check whether the stack is empty or not, because there's some odd case that the stack is not empty. So it can only have like open raw bracket. Then it should be invalid, right? So in here, we will check stack is empty or not. So if it's empty, then it's written true. And if it's not empty, it's written false. So this is our code here. So the whole code here is quite large, but we can just delete this part. Here is how we implement the plan that we just did. So the next step we have is testing it out. In the interview settings, you have to test it by hand if there's no IDE supported. But in here, we have the IDE. So I think it is easier to use IDE for now. So let's test it out. Oh, okay. I misspelled this part. So that's why it's really good to kind of like testing this out in your interview, or you tell the interviewers that you finish with the assignment and then it's not working. We run it. Okay, so now you can see it's on 4 case example here. We pass it. So let's try to submit it to see is there any corner case. Okay, so we passed it. We get the accepted submissions. The last step in here is analyze the time and space complexities. The time complexities in here is big of n, with n is the length of the string. Because here we have only one for loop, so we go through each character one time, so it's only big of n. And for the space complexities, this ones we have hash map. But in hash map here, you can see we only have 3 key and 3 value. So it's only considered big of 1. And then we have the stack here. And we push a lot of like open bracket here. So for the space complexities, it would be big of n as well. Because in the worst case scenario, when the string s here, it own opening bracket. So all of it will be pushed into the stack like this. Then this stack will be n character. And that is how we solve the valid parentheses problems using a stack. By breaking down the problem step by step, matching it with the right data structure, and playing out the step, you will be able to approach the coding problems with confidence. For more detailed guides, personal problems recommendations, and interviews prep tip and trick, check out LeetCode Mate website at the link above in the descriptions. I will show you the website real quick here. So last time we did is we do there's 2 sum problems. Now I will adding a problem that we just did. So we have that is a valid parenthesis. I just copy paste so I don't have to write it out. I think we just did like 30 minutes ago, so I just fix this one to be 30. And then we finish at this time. Yeah, and then category in here, we already know that we're using a stack. So stack and queue is a category for this. And then in here, you can identify there's difficulties that you have, because these problems will be hard for someone, but it will be easy for the more experienced user. Yeah, so you can identify here and then just write a tip or trick for yourself as well, like using stack because need correct order and matching type. Yep. And then after that, you can add these problems. You did on the job for today. That's good. So continue. And then in this screen here, it will tell you that I did 2 sections for this week. And then in this one, it will have the game plan for you, so practice plan. And in here, you have stack and queue. And then it's also tell you like how many days to your next practice for this category. And then you can just, and here you can see the recommended problems. The next problem is palindromes linked list. So this is easy category as well, and the frequency is 64%. And you can view the problems, and then you can start working right from here. This will preview on the field for you. You can just enter the times and time start and time end. So as you can see in here, I have 2 problems now, and you can see there's a graph here. So it will be identify quicker where your difficulties, so you can practice this more often. Yeah. And if you find this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell buttons for more coding interview solutions. Thank you for watching, and good luck for your interview.